I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know what my purpose is supposed to be. I don't know none of that. Hello, everybody. I'm Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and I just returned to World of Warcraft, a game that I have an extensive history with, and one of the first things that I really want to talk about is how poor and just flat out bad, no need for big words or fancy words, it's just bad, the new player experience in World of Warcraft is. Now, I've been playing since the very beginning of Cataclysm, if not a little bit before Cataclysm came out. I've played this game for years and years. New players, they don't know the world, they don't know the story, they're not even gonna know the expansion names. And in my opinion, it is of tantamount importance to iron out and finalize a new player experience in order to attract a new audience of World of Warcraft, which is something they've talked about wanting to do. Dragonflight largely focused on retaining players and was largely successful at doing that, and now they need to focus on that new player experience. But in order to do so, I need to break it down point by point why Exile's Reach, in my opinion, is absolute garbage. I am not saying this to be controversial or dramatic. I fundamentally believe that Exile's Reach is a fatally flawed new player experience, and lessons need to be learned from it in order to attract a new audience to this game. That, in my opinion, is drastically improving and constantly improving, and is showing signs of continuing to improve in the future. My original plan for this video was to just record Exile's Reach and talk over it later on, like I do for most of my videos, but I was having so many thoughts and opinions of like each scene almost second by second as I was playing through Exile's Reach that I'm like, you know what? I kind of need to make this borderline a Let's Play format. It's going to be highly edited, don't worry. So let's create a new character. This is going to be the screen new players see for the first time. All these new races, all these classes, they're not going to know who or what anyone is. They're not going to know what a dwarf is. They're probably going to think Lord of the Rings. They're definitely not going to know what a Draenei is. They're not going to know about World of Warcraft's trolls, and these little descriptions are nice, but in my opinion, something intrinsically important in World of Warcraft is this right here. World of Warcraft is not built like other games. It's not constructed like other games, and the foundation is extremely different. Class identity, race identity, faction identity are of paramount importance when it comes to the immersion and just gathering a new audience into World of Warcraft. It is fundamentally important in my opinion, and the Cataclysm revamp for all the beginner zones was extremely important because it kept people having that sense of identity for not only their race but also their class and their faction, gave them their own personal story to follow throughout the revamped leveling process, while also introducing them to the segments and slices of the world that would be important for them and their character. Exile's Reach fails on all of these fronts. Now, let's get into it. I play Alliance nowadays, so let's roll a Draenei Shaman. Sure. Let's do it. We gotta fix his hairstyle. Sure, why not? This is fine. Let's rock it. Let's go to Exile's Reach. We got a new Draenei Shaman, let's move in. This right here is representative of Modern WoW's biggest issue, telling not showing. All we see is a boat and two griffins. Show me characters, show me the aesthetic of the Alliance. One boat in the middle of the ocean does none of this to any effective degree. We have some dude narrating that we don't know. We don't know who the hell they are if you're a new player, and it's just dropping you onto this boat, borderline expecting you to already know what the Alliance is. I disabled all my add-ons, so we get a fresh experience here. This is the basic UI with a little bit of an adjustment because you can customize this. Okay, this is just showing you how to actually interact with the game. That's fine. Prepare yourself, Garul. We're nearing the island where the previous expedition was lost, and we're supposed to care about this expedition for what reason. Warm up on these combat dummies. We need everyone ready for whatever we find on that island. The traditional go fight a combat dummy, sure, whatever. They're teaching you how to input your buttons, how to press your buttons, pretty much. It's not the most inspired thing of all time, but it's teaching you how to interact and interface with the game. But the problem is, it's a faction start with nothing particularly interesting going on. We're just on a boat. It's a little bit stormy. We gotta beat up on Private Cole because he lost a bet or whatever. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know what my purpose is supposed to be. I don't know none of that. All we're doing is we're on a mission. And immediately, immersion is one of the most important and critical aspects of an RPG. It fundamentally is. And even this early on, immersion is important. And I have absolutely no reason, based on what the game has shown so far, to give a remote crap about this character. The character you are meant to put in a lot of hours with. You have to hook the player really quickly. Otherwise, they'll just drown it out and stop caring. And you don't want players to not care. You don't want that apathy to set in. I'm a Draenei. I know nothing about the Draenei already. I know nothing about what it is to be a shaman besides the fact I have Lightning Bolt and something called Primal Strike. I don't know what the hell Gift of the Naru is. Apparently I get a heal. That's cool. This may sound basic and may be like, yeah, but like you can learn that on like a wiki or like Wowhead or like you'll pick it up later on. It's not a matter of picking it up. It's a matter of the game showing me and giving me a reason to be invested and to care. That is so important, especially when it comes to an MMORPG. Because right now, this early on, is the most important part to grab a player's attention and to retain them. We got like a bunch of different characters I don't know about nor care about right now. Immediately into a loading screen, and we get this cutscene about the ship crashing, essentially, because of the storm, which is cool, whatever. Yeah, the cutscene itself looks pretty cool. Giant wave, okay. But it's too generic. It's not World of Warcraft, and that's its issue. It still feels disconnected from me or any of the actual characters. And we're immediately dropped on this island. It's meant to be mysterious at this point, and that's fine. There's some redeeming elements of this initial story experience. Not many, but there are some. And now we gotta, like, fight some Murlocs, cool, whatever. There's actually another thing I just kind of realized. I have no heirlooms on this character whatsoever. Watch this. Lightning Bolt takes forever to cast, boom, one shot. So gameplay-wise, is this supposed to hook anyone? Is this supposed to be enthralling or engrossing? Why give me a reason to care about any of these Murlocs if even on a Shaman right now with just basic Lightning Bolt, nothing here is engaging me? Lightning Bolt looks cool. I still kind of miss the old animation, but I don't mind the new one. But it's just like, they're getting one shot. If I walk up to them and use Primal Strike, sure, now I can actually hear them, they get some personality, that's better. This early on, I shouldn't be one-shotting anything on any class. Again, this sounds minor and this may sound unimportant to a lot of veteran players, but for a new player, someone who is just joining the World of Warcraft near 20 years into its lifespan, all these little moments, these little animations add up and are important to establishing a world and to showing the player what that world is, what it's like, and the stakes involved. I still think we should reintroduce trainers and all that because it adds to the RPG element side of things, but whatever, it's not that important right now. That's a conversation for late in the video. But no one so far has anything remotely resembling an actual character. They're all just spouting out generic exposition or just basic lines you would come to expect at a moment like this. There's nothing unique or identifiable about WoW or its aesthetic or its immersion in this introduction so far outside of Murlocs if you want to just hit them with a mace a little bit. But new players probably going to spam the first button they get because they don't know what they're doing.
Henry knew you would come. Of course I did. He's my son. But more than that, he's a soldier of the Alliance. We leave no one behind.
How is that line and the line before supposed to make me care about Captain Garrick? It's telling me she has a son. Oh, what's the dynamic between her and her son? He's a soldier of the Alliance. Okay, is she just a hot ass? What's going on here? It's generic dialogue that's just, like, supposed to make her feel like a generic, gruff soldier. But WoW's not supposed to be generic. That dialogue doesn't do anything to captivate me or to make me care about Captain Garrick. Again, this sounds basic and may sound nitpicky, but in the introductory experience, every little thing matters. You know what? Immediately, let's show off how good some of the old introductory experiences, I just bit my tongue, how good the old introductory experiences were, just to showcase it right next to this. Now, not all of them were that great back in the day in Cataclysm or even before, but the Troll one is a particular highlight. So let's roll a Troll Shaman here. Let's go to the Echo Isles. And immediately look out for the aesthetic and the vibe that it gives off in this intro.
From their lands in Stranglethorn Vale, the dark-speared trolls attempted to
Culture,
make a new life for themselves
aesthetic,
amongst the disparate
shown
races of the
immediately.
Horde.
We're
Under
learning
the leadership of the
backstory
noble
to the
warchief
race
Thrall,
that we belong to.
Vol'jin and his savage trolls had at last
It's not
found the
much, but you
honor
don't
and
need
purpose they
much.
had been searching
Oh look,
for.
architecture.
But now, under the rule of the headstrong
vibe
Garrosh
going on.
Hellscream, the trolls fear that the Horde could tear itself apart. Vol'jin knows that whatever threats loom ahead, whether they
Already,
be from within the Horde or from without,
I now know
it is cunning
history
trolls like
about
you
the race I'm
who will
playing.
fight
Class
of
is
the
still to
Horde.
be determined, but I'm shown a rather strong aesthetic, and I learn a bit about the backstory to who I belong to. The Darkspear have long been victims outcasts. Immediate exposition and immediate context. We found ourselves fleeing our homes time and time again, but this time it's not fleeing that drives us here. Vol'jin has offered us leadership, a character, so we automatically, okay, Vol'jin, he's the bro, okay. Personality. Zuni will be a recurring character throughout the Darkspear introduction. Vol'jin has offered us leadership through wisdom, and it has kept us alive this long. Now that same wisdom offers portents of a chaotic future for the Horde under Garrosh Hellscream. Another character, almost a bit of a foil for our guy Vol'jin. Should be somewhere in the grounds here, I'll catch you later, because that brings us immediately into us being a shaman. Do you see how quickly they try and grab you and ground you in who and what you are? I don't need to know about the dwarfs. I don't need to know about the Alliance right now. I don't need to know any of that. The world is massive. Show me the slice I'm supposed to care about based on who I am right here. Now, this time we are not fleeing. This time we are fighting for a home that will last. We're trying to find a place to belong. We already have a theme in the first quest. In the first quest, we have been shown a vibrant, cool aesthetic for who we are. We already have a decent character with Zuni who has personality and actually feels like a character who's gonna be our bro for this introductory experience. We have context for who we are, and we're about to learn what it means to be a shaman. Wise Eyes, you might have the makings of a real shaman. We already have identity, even in a small way, but even in small ways it's important to who and what we are. Take it slowly, natural, like I'll watch how you form your cast and we'll go from there. I'm training as a troll. To be a troll shaman specifically, which is who I am. Like, this stuff may sound small in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're a new player, but you don't need to hold the player's hand. You don't need to do any of that. Give us a reason, give new players a reason to care about the world and the who they are. That's all you need to do. It's really simple and it's really basic. You don't need to be flashy, you don't need to be flamboyant with it, you don't need a whole bunch of cutscenes or whatever. Just really simple stuff can sometimes be the most effective. That lightning bolt animation looks sick, by the way. Can I get that? Not bad, Mon. You have a natural flow to your spells. You may have a talent for this. Some rough edges to be sure, but we'll get ironed out, and I'll teach you a few new things while we're here. Let's put those skills to use. I'll start you off easy. There be cats killing our boars. That food ain't for sharing. Those boars are gonna need to be alive if you'll be wanting food tonight. Now we're learning about the ecology of this place, how we survive here. All of this is important. We're seeing other class trainers. We can't help you here, Mon. We have a place to belong over there, but not over here. Again, small things that add up. These things are important to a game like World of Warcraft, where faction identity, race identity, and class identity are so important to engrossing you and making you care. I don't know how long this will be in the final cut, but recording, I'm already almost 19 minutes in, and we haven't gotten past level 4. This is how important, in my opinion, the immediate beginning of a game like this is. You are trying to hook the player, you're trying to make them care. I remember when I first started World of Warcraft on the free trial, doing the troll introductory experience and being so gripped and enthralled about what was going on. It gives you a reason to care about who you are, and what your role could be in this world. You don't need to learn all the context for everything immediately. Ground you in who and what you are, and give you a reason to care in a unique way for your character. Those aspects are so important. Oh look, more culture, more personality for the Darkspear. I'm ready to face my challenges. Ain't much of a big challenge, but we gotta know how you can handle the pit before we can take you in. We are new, we have to prove ourselves, and we're going to have a fight to the death against some beastie boy. Who's a Naga? I shall slaughter you, Darkspear Runt. Who are you? You seem to have a disdain for the Darkspear, probably because you got locked up, obviously. But throughout this introductory experience, we're gonna learn more about the Naga and their unique struggle against the trolls. You're gonna be quite powerful someday. Report to Vol'jin. Immediately, we're gonna go talk to somebody of significance, of importance. I'm sure there's more important stuff you can be using your talents for. You don't need to hang out with the New Bloods no more. It's quick, don't get me wrong, but look, unique aesthetics for each of the classes as well. The panda over there for the monk, because the Pandaran teach everyone what it means to be a monk. Little things are important. Now we move all the way up to where Vol'jin is in the big hut at the top of the hill. Again, unique visuals, unique to who and what we chose to be. Captain of the Watch, he looks awesome. We move in here. We see Vol'jin's updated model. And back in the day, we would get a cutscene with like him and Garrosh Hellscream going at each other's throats here. But all of a sudden, hey, Vol'jin's the guy I know who's the leader here. He's the big deal. Welcome to the Darkspear. It'd be easy to understand if you see it yourself.
Don't talk back to me, troll.
Garrosh Hellscream. This entire scene right here is giving us reason and motivation to care about being Darkspear.
There be no question
Shows us a bit of
Garrosh. He gave you the title because you be Gram's son.
Shows us the
And because
dynamic,
the
the
people
interesting
be
one
wanting a
between
war
Vol'jin and
hero.
Garrosh. Sure, it's outdated
I
at
think
this
you be
point
more
because
like
of
your
Cataclysm
father
went
than you
all the
thought.
way in Dragonflight.
Even without
But this is the type
demon
of stuff I'm
blood.
telling you
You
is
are lucky
important,
that
so
I don't
important.
got you right here.
This is story unique for us as a troll.
To think you can speak to your war chief in such ways.
We are looked down upon by the
You'll
war
be
chief
no
of the
war
Horde, the
chief of
faction we
mine.
belong to.
You're not
This
earned
faction
my
strife.
respect, and I'll not be seeing the Horde destroyed by your foolish thirst for war.
And we are being shown this interaction
And what
instead of being
exactly do you
told
think
that it
you're going
happens
to
or
do
that
about
Captain
it?
Garrick has a son.
Your threats are hollow. Go slink away with the rest
The
of your
voice
kind
acting's
to
also
the
really good.
slums. I will endure your filth
We've
in
been
my
exiled
throne
from
room
the home
no
of
longer.
the Horde.
I know
Pretty much.
exactly what I'll be doing about it, son, Hellscream. I'll watch and wait as your people slowly become aware of your ineptitude. I'll
Foreshadowing.
laugh as they grow to despise you, as I do. And when that time
Emotion.
comes, that your failure is complete and
Personality.
your power is meaningless,
Cool
I
lines.
will be there to end your rule, swiftly and silently. You will spend your reign glancing over your shoulder and fearing the shadows.
Mystery.
For when the time comes,
This could happen at
and
any
your blood be
point.
slowly draining out, you will know exactly who fired the arrow that pierced your black heart.
You have sealed your fate, troll.
Listen.
And you yours, War Chief.
Disdain. They're mocking each other, kinda. This is so good. They're establishing dominance. There's internal strife in the Horde. Reasons for me as a Darkspear to care and decide with Vol'jin. Sure, it's a lot of telling, but they don't mind showing you those interactions. Even something simple like that. I now know who and what Garrosh Hellscream is. I know how he sounds like. I know how he talks to Vol'jin, how Vol'jin talks to him. This is all setup that makes me care about the story that will unravel throughout all of this introduction, but will also carry me throughout all of Mists of Pandaria eventually, when this came out in Cataclysm. We'll learn more about Garrosh Hellscream throughout Cataclysm, and we'll pick up on this kind of stuff throughout the leveling zones, like in Stone Talon Mountains, where we especially see Garrosh Hellscream's character shine. All of this stuff is so important, because I'm already invested in my character, who I am, what I am, and where I am. I already have a guy to look up to with Vol'jin. Like, this is the kind of stuff that is so important. And it requires a lot of work and effort to do this for every race and class. Actually, sure, That's understandable, but it's important. It's something that, in my opinion, needs to be done. But you can't simply just reuse the Cataclysm stuff or go back and make those zones mandatory because they're so woefully outdated to the modern story. You're not gonna have new players go through all the expansions in order, starting with Cataclysm. That's not gonna happen because it's a massive time sink. You essentially, in my opinion, need to do a revamp similar to Cataclysm. Not the entire world or the entire experience, but you need to do a lengthy introductory experience for all of the races similar to that troll scenario, or even the Worgen or the Goblin one. Those are also some standouts in my opinion. Or even the Gnome one, which was really good. You need introductory experiences like that. They ground you in the world, give you a slice to really care about, and you can pick up the rest as is needed. That stuff is so important, and that's what Exile's Reach fails to do. It feels too generic and not unique to us, who and what we are, or who we belong to. And the dialogue is poorly written. It's a combination of the ideas of Exile's Reach not being good, but also the execution not being good. And there's some cool moments, right? Like later on, when you have the dungeon up here against the Necromancer Ogre, that's cool. That statue is really good. The visual here is really impressive and great, but it's not unique to me. And that's its issue. That's its fundamental issue that it will never overcome. And also, most of these characters don't matter. Sure, Captain Garrick shows up a little bit in Dragonflight, but not in a major capacity in a way that I would particularly care about. So right after Exile's Reach, this entire scenario that we just came to know is largely meaningless. But for the troll introductory experience, that was not the case. Those plot lines and themes held true and firm throughout all of Cataclysm, Battle for Azeroth, Warlords of Draenor, and even into Legion with Vol'jin's story. Do you see what I mean? You have to nail the immediate introductory experience. It's so important. And it may not be the most captivating or compelling for returning players or for veteran players, but that's okay, because it's super compelling for new players, and that's what it's supposed to be. New players, returning players and veterans like myself, probably are going to read a lot of quest text. We'll blare through this. We had heirlooms. We have stuff to minimize that experience. Boost with the new expansion, with the MOP Remix event coming up. We have ways to overcome that friction, but that friction is so important for new players and has to exist. It can't be ignored, it can't be sidelined. You can't do generic introductory experiences like this because it fundamentally doesn't fit with the unique vibes and foundations of World of Warcraft. You need a large, expansive introductory experience for all the races that makes sense with the current story going on, and then periodically update it. Do something similar. We should have one for the World Soul Saga. Or at least it goes into Dragonflight that makes sense for the context of the story of Dragonflight that will bring us into the World Soul Saga. We need stuff like that. Because just saying, okay, do Exile's Reach and then dump you into BFA or soon to be Dragonflight, that doesn't cut it. Because everything will not make sense. We will not have a reason to care about us as a character, which is so important to an RPG. All of that stuff matters. Sure, I like the idea of class trainers and all that because it breeds that sense of RPG. Unique quests and characters we talk to and interact with. But these foundations, these are so much more important in my opinion, and that's why Exile's Reach was never good and was never healthy for the game. It was always a landmine that they gleefully walked over. I don't say all of this from a place of disdain for World of Warcraft, because I've recently come back to the game and I've been highly enjoying it. They are saying a lot of the right things, they're doing a lot of the right things, and they've even talked about how the new play experience is not up to par and needs to be addressed. Good! What this video is meant to do is to explain why I think the current WoW new play experience is so poor. Because even when they dump you into Dragonflight and no longer BFA soon after Exile's Reach, none of that stuff will make sense. You won't have a reason to care about any of it. It's a lot of work to do something along the lines of Cataclysm, but for a game as long running as World of Warcraft with as much in it as World of Warcraft, I'm sorry, but that kind of stuff is important, and not just important, it's mandatory in my opinion. And honestly, I could replay the entirety of the rest of Exile's Reach, but none of what I'm saying here gets disproven by the rest of it. There's some cool little micro scenarios and instances that give you a little bit more context for the character of Captain Garrick and whatnot, but none of that matters because none of that's really relevant after this point. Sure, we see Captain Garrick show up every now and then, in Dragonflight specifically, but not to a meaningful degree that I would particularly care about outside of landing on the Waking Shore. more. Because going from this, heck, even the loading screen for Dragonflight, you would know none of these from the Exile's Reach. None of these characters you would know or care about. But back in Cataclysm, you were shown the faction leaders. Oh, I recognize Vol'jin, I recognize Garrosh, I recognize whoever. Oh, they look important, they look important, they look important. You would not care about any of this from Exile's Reach. None of it. Because none of it's developed or fleshed out in a meaningful way. So even when they no longer dump you in Kul Tiras or Zandalar after Exile's Reach, dumping you in the Dragon Isles ain't gonna do much better. But the Drakthir introduction was really good. Why? Because it gave me a reason to care about the Drakthir. It's not the best thing ever, but it's more in line about what I'm talking about. It gives me a reason to care about who I am, what I am, and the world I belong to. And going into the Dragon Isles makes so much more sense when you've been a Drakthir. Because you're introduced to the main villain in the leveling, at least, immediately. Not immediately, but throughout that introductory experience. I know characters that still show up here. Like, they can do it, but it's important that it happens for everyone for a new play experience. Because new players aren't going to be rolling Evoker, are they? They're not going to be rolling Drakthir. So all of that cool introduction for the Dragon Isles is spent on old or veteran players, and not on who it needs to really target, which is new players. But that's just my 2 cents on the issue. I think it's a really solvable issue. It requires a lot of work and effort, sure. But again, I fundamentally think it's extremely important. I don't think you can just, like, throw it under the rug or whatever and pretend it doesn't exist. Unless they pull a rabbit out of a hat somehow and prove me wrong, I don't see how any of it could work outside of what they did in Cataclysm. Or what they do for, like, Drakthir or for the Demon Hunters. Stuff like that. Like, maybe if you do it for each class instead, specifically somehow, and you still have some, like, faction identity in there, sure, maybe that could be, like, okay. But I think what Cataclysm did was so good, because it nailed every checkbox instead of trying to be good at one and not okay at the others. Because in WoW, you have to be good at all of these checkboxes. You have to tick all of them. I'm supposed to care about not only the world, but the role I'm playing in the game. I think they can do it, but in my opinion, it has to be along those lines. But with that, I think I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Leave a comment down below with your favorite introductory experience in World of Warcraft. Did it come from Vanilla? Did it come from Cataclysm? What about Death Knight or Demon Hunter or Drakthir? Let me know. I'd love to hear thoughts. Or the Pendant. That one was really good in my opinion as well. Stay safe. Have a great day. Love to hear your thoughts. Stay safe. Have a great day. See you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.